Chapter 1, Section 4, Islam's Golden Age. In this section, you will read about the golden or great years of the Muslim Empire. Think about your own life. Was there a time that was very special to you? What made it special? Questions to think about as we go through the video. What strengths of the Islamic world led to this golden age? And 2, what did Islam's golden age contribute to science, mathematics, and literature? Key terms have been defined for you through the Google Classroom: caliph, patron, and tolerance. Key people and places: Omar Khayyam, Harun ar-Rashid, Maimonides, and Baghdad. Please make sure to have your Google Doc open through the Google Classroom as you watch this video and complete the answers to the questions as the video progresses. Omar Khayyam was a skilled Muslim astronomer and one of the most famous mathematicians in the world. Khayyam was also a great poet. The series of poems he wrote in the Persian language some 900 years ago are still read today. This is one of his poems. When I was a child, I sometimes went to a teacher, and sometimes I taught myself, but eventually I learned the limits to all knowledge. We come into this world upon the waters, and we leave it on the wind. Do you agree with Omar Khayyam? Do you think knowledge is limited? What do you think Omar Khayyam means when he writes, "I learned the limits to all knowledge. We come into this world upon the waters, and we leave it on the wind"? Wise leadership promotes a golden age. The multi-talented Omar Khayyam lived during Islam's golden age. Scholars see this period from about 800 to 1100 CE as one of the most brilliant periods in world history. Lasting works of literature, like the poetry of Omar Khayyam, were created in the golden age. Medical and mathematic knowledge expanded. Scientific experiments were made. Why did all this happen during this time? Before a society can afford to give artists and scientists time to do their work, it needs money, and the Islamic world had plenty. The empire had grown rich from the many lands it controlled and from trade. Find Baghdad on the map on the screen. Baghdad was the capital of the Muslim Empire during Islam's golden age. You can see from the map that Baghdad, like Constantinople, was a natural center for trade. With a finger, trace a route from India to Baghdad. Now trace a route from the Mediterranean Sea to Baghdad. Traders from all over the world brought their goods to the caliph's court. The caliph was the chief ruler of Islam. He was Muhammad's successor, or the person who had the right to rule. Harun ar-Rashid, a powerful caliph. Harun ar-Rashid became caliph of Baghdad in 786. His rule was a time of prosperity for the people, and he himself was very wealthy. For 23 years, Harun ruled the world's most glamorous court. He and his favorite subjects ate off gold plates and drank from goblets studded with jewels. But Harun did not use the riches of Baghdad just to have fun. He was a great patron or supporter of the arts. Harun had many skilled writers, musicians, dancers, and artists to live in Baghdad. He lavishly rewarded those whose works pleased him. One musician is said to have received 100,000 silver pieces for a single song. Islam's tolerance is rewarded. Tolerance, or acceptance of differences, was one of Islam's major features during the Golden Age. Jews and Christians who accepted Muslim rule were free to practice their religions. Non-Muslims were allowed to govern their own communities. They had to pay higher taxes than Muslim subjects, and they were forbidden to carry weapons. However, they were not forced to serve in the military. The Muslim Empire benefited from this policy of tolerance. Jews and Christians helped to create Islam's golden age. Maimonides, a Jew who lived in the Muslim Empire in the 1100s, is a good example of this. Maimonides was a doctor. He spent time in Spain, North Africa, and Southwest Asia. He was also a great thinker. In his book, Guide for the Perplexed, Maimonides tried to explain how people could believe in science and religion at the same time. Today, people still study and think about his ideas. Intellectual achievements in the Golden Age. Muslim scholars in the Golden Age made lasting contributions to human understanding of the physical world. Some of these contributions to science, medicine, and mathematics are shown here on this chart. Have you ever read a book or seen a film about Aladdin and his magic lamp? This is just one of the stories gathered in the 1001 Nights. This collection of tales is made up of Indian and Persian fairy tales, Egyptian romances, and Arab legends of love stories. The 1001 Nights reached Western Europe in the early 1700s when a French scholar translated the tales. Muslim writers also created serious works. Poetry was particularly important in the Islamic world. Poets were treated like stars, much like popular musicians are today. You have already read one poem from the Muslim poet Omar Khayyam. Some people used poetry to teach ideas and beliefs. The Sufis were one group of Muslims who did this. They taught that the world will reveal its mysteries to the seeker who makes careful observations. Although some Sufis were Islamic scholars, they tried to draw close to God through prayer and a simple life. The Sufi spiritual focus, rather than the more traditional, legal-minded approach, further enriched the Muslim heritage. The most famous Sufi poet, Jalal-ud-Din Rumi, founded a religious group called the Whirling Dervishes in the West. They used music and dance to communicate with God. Rumi composed the verses that appear here. Never think the earth or dead, it's a hare awake with shut eyes. It's a saucepan simmering with broth. One clear look, you'll see it is in ferment, meaning motion. This is the end of Chapter 1, Section 4, and the end of Chapter 1. There are a few questions that you should be able to answer at this point. What helped bring about Islam's Golden Age? What were some achievements in science, mathematics, and literature during the Golden Age? And finally, how did the economy of the Muslim Empire affect the Golden Age? Also, please make sure that you have completed your Google Doc through the Google Classroom and have submitted it for class. Once you have done that, you're done, and we'll see you in class tomorrow. And as always, be excellent to one another.